Yeah, we back. Welcome to The Culture, the hottest broadcast in the game. Go to my playlist section. We have already released over 30 episodes, and we have an entire playlist dedicated to this series. In this series, we shine a light on who's really committing some of the most heinous crimes here in the United States and across the world. This project was inspired by years of me listening to certain conservative voices in the media focus on so-called crime in the black community as if crime was unique to us. So that pushed me to dig deeper into the true data, the headlines, and the statistics to see where the true criminality is actually coming from. Now, everything I'm discussing is based on publicly reported cases and verified information. This content is for educational and commentary purposes only. And also, if you come across a story that you think deserves to be showcased on The Culture, send it to my email at kingnefakari@gmail.com. Link in the description. Now, let's jump into today's episode. Today's episode, we got a crazy one starting out. Now, all these stories today are crazy. Listen, everything on The Culture is crazy, number one, but we have a crazy one because especially I think the conservatives will definitely like to jump on this because here we have somebody who had multiple restraining orders from various different women across the country, right? And was able to constantly get out, let back onto the streets every single time until he just crashed out on another level that I never seen before. I've never heard of such barbarity that we're about to talk about today. And I think due to the fact that they spent so much time talking about Irina Zarutska, I think this is the perfect story for them to jump on. It lines up right along with that, right? The constant criminal getting led back onto the streets every single time until tragedy strikes. So I'm giving the alley-oop to the conservative media to hopefully they can cover this story and send it to a bigger audience because my channel is growing. You know, we got a nice little audience, but obviously, you know, these guys have, you know, 1 million subscribers, 2 million subscribers. It's only so much I could do, right? So I'm giving the alley-oop to the conservative media. This is the perfect story for you to jump on. Now let's get into it. As you can see by the headline, a 23-year-old woman has passed away after a stabbing on Old Hammond Highway, and the suspect then set himself on fire. Now let's get into it. The Baton Rouge Police Department said a 23-year-old woman has died due to a stabbing, with the suspect setting himself on fire afterwards. The police said they responded around 2 a.m. on Thursday to Stasy Charles lying in the parking lot with several stab wounds. She was taken to a local hospital but died during surgery. The officers also responded to a crash nearby where they determined that suspect Stephen Heinrich Jr. was involved in a crash and a stabbing. The police said that, according to preliminary reports, Heinrich arrived at Stacy's residence and began ramming his vehicle into her vehicle. He then removed her from the vehicle and stabbed her and then drove away. And while he was fleeing, he intentionally entered the oncoming lane of travel, resulting in a head-on collision with another vehicle. So time out. So this guy, he arrived at the residence. He crashed into her car intentionally, like it was Grand Theft Auto, like crashed directly into her car while she was in the car. Then he got out of the car, forcibly removed her from the vehicle, stabbed her multiple times, and then drove away onto oncoming traffic, crashed the car into another car, then got out of the car, retreated on foot, and then set himself on fire. Let's continue. And keep in mind, this is a repeat criminal offender. I just want to say, you know, for the conservative media, like I said, this is the alley-oop story. Like, listen, we got to talk about the Democrat judges, the Democrat judges letting the criminals out on the streets. Oh, I forgot. Wait, this is Louisiana, so ain't no Democrat judges. I don't think so. Anyway, let's continue. While inside his vehicle after the crash, the suspect, Stephen Heinrich, set himself on fire. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The police said that back on November 5th, last week, the victim, Stasy Charles, contacted police about a battery that resulted in Stephen Heinrich's arrest. He posted a $2,500 bail for battery of a dating partner and was served with a protective order in 24 hours of the arrest. The police say he had up to 6 out-of-state protective orders from various different women across the country. Court records showed that the victim, Stasy Charles, filed a restraining order back on October 6th to prevent Stephen Heinrich from going near her work or her school. In those records, the victim, Stasy Charles, alleged that Stephen Heinrich had stalked her, punched her, and threatened her life during the past year. Now, like I said, this is an alley-oop for the conservative media. Like I said, these guys love law and order. They want the criminals locked up for 100 years for their first offense. So like I said, this was somebody with multiple offenses. At least 6 different women across the country had restraining orders against him. And as you can see in the article, He showed up at her residence. She was in the car, parking lot or whatever. He rammed his car repeatedly into her car, forcibly dragged her out of the vehicle, and stabbed her to death in the middle of the street. Just a good old country boy from Louisiana. That's all. Just a good old country boy from Louisiana. No history of mental illness, just a history of domestic violence and abuse of women, multiple restraining orders across the country, and every single time they allow him back onto the streets. Last time, I think they said, he got arrested last week or last month because he was beating on her, and then he came out on like $2,000 bond, 2 racks back onto the streets, came back, right back at it. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, it's the Democrats. It's the Democrat-run cities. We talking about Louisiana. We talking about Baton Rouge. I think the executive branch of Baton Rouge is run by the Republicans. The legislative branch of Baton Rouge is controlled by the Republicans. So it ain't that, right? It ain't that. But I would still love to hear how you're going to cover this story and spin the narrative. Just let me know, right? Just let me know. I want you to keep that same energy that you kept for Irina Zarutska. Never forget Irina Zarutska talked about it for 90 days, right? Keep that same energy in this case right here, because this case was more violent, more barbaric. You got someone getting dragged out of the street like it's Grand Theft Auto, getting killed in the middle of the street and getting their car rammed into like it's the video games, right? You need to talk about this right here. You guys need to shine a light on this right here. This is the most important part of the case. The suspect, Stephen Heinrich, was arrested a week prior for battery of a dating partner. After the victim, Stasy Charles, called the police. He posted a $2,500 bail and was served with an active protective order. And police said he had 6 out-of-state protective orders from various women. So he just all over the country, women just running scared every time he shows up. And you would think, it's like, how many times does somebody have to get arrested for them to finally be put away? Right? How many times does somebody have to get a restraining order put against them for somebody to finally take action and say, maybe this guy is a danger to society? Why are we constantly letting him back onto the street? Oh, because he a good old country boy from Louisiana? Is that it? I don't understand it. I don't understand it, bro. But before we continue, we got to have some real talk, man. We got to have some real talk, because I believe in this case, the victim, Stasy, rest in peace to Stasy. I think she was also not only a victim of this crime, but also a victim of propaganda, right? And we always talk about it on the channel. We talk about propaganda, and especially when it comes to a certain demographic. And I think that Stasy herself was a victim of that, because even when you scroll down her social media, she'll be saying things like this, for example. Take a look up on the screen. Where's my scrawny, heavily tattooed white man at? She'd be saying things like, I'm about to start taking getting a white man very serious. She would say, somebody please find the white boy in the Navy suit. She would say, I think that's why I loved her. She just needed an old rich white man as racist as her. Then she would say things like, I don't know if I want a white man anymore. They have all types of problems. And just from a surface level glance of her social media, you could tell that her image of this so-called demographic mainly comes from television and the movies that she watches. She watched a movie, or she watched, Love Island or something like that. It's not coming from any personal experience to where she feels compelled to get involved with a certain demographic. It seems like she was just influenced by things she saw on TV or on the internet and things like that. She would also say things like this. Take a look up on the screen. I hate the leveling up influencers so bad, or when the young gorgeous girls post all white men, go hide them in the closet or something like that. So the level up influencers, I'm not really too familiar with that sector of content. But anyway, she would also say things like this. If you like white women, your opinion doesn't matter. So it actually reminds me of the video that we did yesterday about the girl who was talking about Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and Kamala Harris. Go check out that video that we dropped yesterday. So not only is this story tragic, but it actually ties into a lot of cultural conversations that we have. And honestly, I don't even know, to be honest, I don't even know what she saw in this dude right here, man. I mean, this dude looks like one of the guys that be chilling behind a dumpster at my family store. Every time we see him, they chilling by the dumpster, drinking the beer, looking bummy. I mean, the dude look crazy to me. I don't know what she even saw in him. Beautiful young lady. It reminds me of the Sade Robinson case. Sade Robinson, beautiful young woman. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful young woman. And then she was just, caught up with some barbarian looking dude, looking like she got him out of the dumpster. I don't understand it, right? I don't understand it. And it goes into a deeper conversation about propaganda imagery. This image that a lot of our women have of a certain demographic that doesn't really line up with reality, right? What you see on the movies and the TV screen is not reality. You know what I mean? Like, it's not reality. So I don't know, but rest in peace to Stasy. Rest in peace. Shout out to her family. My heart goes out. Now let's continue. November 12th, the other day, a former Lindell daycare worker pleads guilty to 10 years for repeatedly kicking toddlers. My goodness, man. What is up with these ladies in the daycares, bro? You know how many stories we covered at tragedy happening at these daycares with a certain demographic? Remember that one time a 2-year-old black boy got eaten by the Rottweilers. And it was like at least 5 other stories we covered, a tragedy happening in the last month at these daycares. Now we have this lady, kicking the toddlers at the daycare. Man, what is going on in the culture, man? Let's continue. Let's get into it. In Texas, a former daycare employee has been sentenced to 10 years in prison after investigators uncovered disturbing footage of her repeatedly assaulting toddlers in the daycare. My God. According to court records, suspect Catherine Elizabeth Guzaiska, who worked at the Pumpkin Doodles Day daycare in Lindale, was found guilty on 6 counts of injury to a child. The security cameras captured her kicking and handling the children violently over a 3-month period from July to October. The incidents involved children under 2 years old and were first discovered when the parents and the staff reviewed classroom surveillance videos. The daycare immediately terminated her employment and reported the matter to the authorities. The judge sentenced her to 10 years in prison for each count, but the sentence will run concurrently, meaning she'll serve a total of 10 years. She also received credit for about a year of time already served. During court proceedings, the defense cited a psychological evaluation showing a low cognitive score. Wow, so she has low IQ. Wow. They have low IQs. Okay, but the judge ruled that it did not excuse her action. So the judge said even though it's been confirmed by the doctors that she has a low IQ, that she still has to be held accountable for her actions. Okay, so shout out to the justice system. Shout out to the justice system confirming that a certain demographic has low IQs and they're holding her accountable regardless. Shout out to the judges, man. Shout out to law and order and the police and the authorities. Yes, indeed. Anyway, let's continue. Next story. November 13th, the other day, a man has been sentenced to 170 years in federal prison for the production and the possession of illegal images and videos involving minors. Man.
If you didn't know already, white men make up 29% of the U.S. population, but are accounted for over 77% of the people caught with child. You know what?
What's that? Get away from me now, I'm gonna knock your off, son. Why is he doing this? I just want to leave. I've got my property, I just want to leave. I didn't touch him. Palms together. Why are you guys doing this? I didn't touch him.
Now, let's get into this story. Welcome to the culture, man. In Florida, a man has been sentenced to 170 years in federal prison after investigators uncovered that he secretly entered into a house. He broke into a house and recorded inappropriate footage of children that were sleeping and produced illegal material involving other minors. According to the federal documents, 40-year-old David Ogden entered a neighbor's house without permission after midnight when 3 young children were sleeping. The home security camera showed him inside the children's bedroom using his cell phone to record them as they were asleep. The children's mother, who was working a late-night job, received a warning from a friend that they saw Ogden break inside the house, which led her to check the cameras and immediately called police. When the authorities arrived, the suspect had already left the scene, but he later sent the mother a series of casual text messages pretending nothing serious had happened. About an hour later, the authorities were able to locate him at his residence, where he resisted arrest before being taken into custody. His wife, oh my God, this guy had a wife. Oh my God, this guy had a family. Oh my Lord. Let's continue, man. Let's continue. His wife voluntarily handed over his cell phone to the investigators. A forensic analysis of the cell phone uncovered illegal images and videos involving minors that the suspect himself produced between 2022 and 2024. Now, like I said, man, this demographic, only 29% of the population, a certain demographic of men, almost 70% of all the producers, right? That means the vast majority of all the illegal images and videos involving minors produced worldwide was produced from a certain demographic of men. Now let's continue. The illegal images and videos involving the minors involved at least 2 victims. The agents also found more than 1,000 AI-generated illegal images and videos involving minors and at least 10 AI-generated videos, which the federal prosecutors highlighted as part of the case. Now, as we covered on this series, they love that AI-generated content. I'm telling you, a certain demographic, they can't get enough of the AI-generated content, and I think that's partially why I hear people say things like, do not post your children on the internet. Because if you post photos of your children on the internet, guys like this, they're going to take your children's photos and they're going to transform it into some demonic material, some demonic activity, right? So that's one thing that I've heard before. And we already discussed it on the channel. We have local lawmakers already putting, laws on the books attacking the AI generated content because a certain demographic, they taking photos of children off the internet. They hiding in the bushes at the beach, taking photos of children, bathing in the ocean. They going crazy. So, now the lawmakers have to, put a clamp down because a certain demographic, they can't get enough of the demonic activity. The same exact way that multiple governments had to put the clamp down because a certain demographic had a habit of going overseas to engage in demonic activity involving minors. So that's why nations like the United States, France, Germany, UK, the Netherlands, New Zealand, they had to put laws on the books because a certain demographic of their citizens always love going overseas, getting arrested for engaging in demonic activity involving minors. So they had to put extraterritorial laws on the books to make that an international crime. Now they're making certain activity on AI a crime because they're engaging in a similar demonic activity, bro. It's totally crazy. Welcome to the culture. Welcome to the culture. Let's continue, bro. Now, this one, we going international. Rich sniper tourists allegedly paid $90,000 to shoot civilians, including children, during human safari trips to Sarajevo. Now, what the hell, man? Let's get into it. Welcome to the culture, bro. Let's continue. Italian prosecutors have opened a major international investigation into claims that wealthy foreigners, including white men from Germany, France, England, and other Western nations, allegedly paid up to $90,000 to participate in what they called sniper tourism during the 1990 siege of Sarajevo. The allegations came from Italian investigative writer Ezio Gavazzini, who says that he uncovered evidence that alleged that gun enthusiasts from Germany, France, and England paid the Bosnian Serbian army for the chance to shoot civilians during the conflict. This allegedly included an additional fee for targeting children. Time out, bro. Time out. So, bro, oh my God. All right, so I guess during the 90s, there was this conflict. Now, Sarajevo, that's the capital of Bosnia. That's somewhere, out in Eastern Europe. And Yugoslavia broke apart in the early 90s, right? So it was a bunch of, little tribal conflicts. The Europeans, doing the little tribal wars, no different than the little tribal wars we had back in Africa, Dahomey versus Oyo, the Ashanti versus this person, the Mandinka versus the Fulani, so in Europe, back then, the Bosnians versus these people out in Southern Europe, Southeastern Europe. So they fighting, they doing their thing. So the city was, getting shelled, the residents, everybody just panicking, food, medicine, electricity, it's all gone. A massive siege of the city, just pure barbarity and calamities taking place, man, just pure barbarity, right? So these guys, a bunch of rich guys, a bunch of English guys, a bunch of French guys, definitely some American guys, just the typical gun enthusiasts. They say, listen, man, we have a whole bunch of money. What we gonna do? Let's pay the Serbian army so we can go, as the citizens are just, running around the city and panicking, we want to be able to just shoot civilians for fun, just for personal entertainment, right? And we'll pay you extra money if we can kill some children too, right? Crazy. Welcome to the culture, man. Let's continue. Gavazzini says that he first saw hints of this in the Italian media during the 1990s, but reopened the trail after watching a 2022 documentary featuring a former Serb soldier who said that foreigners were taken deep into the hills overlooking Sarajevo and allowed to kill the residents. Oh my God. Welcome to the culture, bro. Welcome to the culture, man. These guys said, listen, I'll pay up to $100,000 just for the opportunity to assassinate some innocent men, women, and I'll pay an extra fee to assassinate the children. And listen, these children, they have no connection to these children. They've never fought any wars against this country. They said, listen, there's a war going on over there. I'll pay money to the army just to be able to get in on the action, just to kill some innocent civilians too. But I still can't get over the fact that they were going to pay a premium price for the children. Like, bro. Anyway, let's continue. The 2022 documentary featuring a former Serbian soldier who said that foreigners were taken deep into the hills overlooking Sarajevo and allowed to kill the residents. The writer claims that a key source was a former Bosnian intelligence agent. The prosecutors in Italy are now trying to identify the Italian nationals who are allegedly involved. Gavazzini says that he already has names of several suspects, and they are expected to be questioned in the coming weeks. The Bosnian consulate in Milan says that Bosnia will fully cooperate with the investigation. More than 10,000 civilians were killed by sniper fire during the siege, one of the deadliest episodes of the Balkan Wars. Next story, November 12th, the other day. A suspect accused of killing a pre-med student has a criminal history. Once again, letting the criminals back out onto the streets. Like I said, I gave the conservatives 2 alley-oops today. I hit them with the double alley-oop. Go ahead and dunk it for me, bro. Let's continue. A man has been arrested after a hit-and-run death of a college student. In Kansas, a 21-year-old university student was killed in a hit and run while she was jogging, and the suspect is now facing charges and already has a lengthy criminal history. The authorities say the victim, Elsa McGrain, a pre-med student expected to graduate next year, went for a run Thursday evening. around 6 p.m. She was struck by somebody driving a pickup truck, and the driver fled the scene instead of rendering aid. Her body was not discovered until 3 in the morning, when a passerby had called 911. After deputies released details to the public, investigators identified and arrested 36-year-old William Ray Klinger. Court documents show that Klinger has a prior record including multiple DUIs and attempts to disable an ignition interlock device and tampering with his ankle monitors. As a juvenile back in 2003, he faced charges for burglary, criminal damage, and even theft, and was placed on intensive supervision probation. The victim was a member of Chi Omega sorority and was waiting to receive her degree next year in 2026. Now, next story. A 14-year-old girl has been found weighing only 35 pounds in a house of horrors. Prosecutors have found a shocking criminal complaint against a man named Walter Goodman, accusing him of years of extreme neglect against his own 14-year-old daughter. The abuse allegedly ran from August 2021 to August 2025. The victim was 14 years old at the time the case came to light in August 2025. She had previously lived with her mother and her grandmother and attended elementary school, and the staff who knew her back then described her as a normal, friendly, talkative third grader. The teachers remember her as a healthy child who interacted with her classmates and the staff and showed no signs of health problems that would later be documented. Around spring 2020, she went to go live full-time with her father, Walter Goodman. Starting in 2021, the family claimed that she was homeschooled all the way up until 2025. The case exploded into view in recent months. At around 5 p.m. back in August 2025, the suspect, Walter Goodman, called 911. He said that his 14-year-old daughter barely eats and she's really skinny. He repeatedly mentioned that she is autistic and sometimes refuses food. He says that she has been sick for at least a week, throwing up, and he's given her liquid IVs and drinks at home. On the day he calls, he says that she is lethargic, unresponsive, with strange breathing. Her eyes are open, but she's not talking and her arms are stiffening. He told the dispatchers that he has end-stage liver disease himself, but will carry her outside to meet EMS. Bro, how old is this guy? You have end-stage liver disease? Or he could be lying, but anyway, let's continue. When law enforcement and medical responders arrive, they're immediately alarmed by the physical condition of the victim. An officer says that she appears to be severely underweight and malnourished, with her ribs and her hips and her facial bones very prominent. She is described as looking like a 6-year-old instead of a 14-year-old. Upon examination, the hospital staff documented that she weighed only 35 pounds. The suspect told officers that he stopped taking her to the doctor about 1.5 years earlier because he thought the doctor was weird. There have been no medical providers coming to the house ever since. He claims that the victim doesn't like to eat and he tries to give her Ensure to drink. The paramedics report a blood sugar of 24, which is terribly low, and a temperature of over 100 degrees, which is terribly high. At the first hospital, they noted a large bruise and pressure sores and the fact that there are no medical records for her for at least 5 years. She is transferred to the Children's Hospital in Wisconsin in critical condition. At the Children's Hospital, the doctors discovered that on the physical exam, she is extremely emaciated and has virtually zero body fat, and all of her bones are visible. She has the classic signs of severe malnutrition, including her hair was thinning, her skin was flaking, and there were numerous pressure sores all over the bony areas. She arrived suffering respiratory failure and needed a breathing tube and showed signs of circulatory shock. Once doctors started feeding her, she developed refeeding syndrome, a dangerous condition that only happens when someone has been underfed for a severely long time, and then nutrition is suddenly reintroduced. She would need intensive electrolyte replacement for several days. They also discovered that she was suffering from severe vitamin D deficiency, as well as suffering from bone loss. The victim was also suffering from anemia linked to a vitamin B12 and folate deficiency. She also had signs of multi-organ strain, including heart symptoms and swelling tied to long-term malnutrition. The findings in her eyes showed that she had optic nerve damage from the vitamin deficiencies. The doctor stated that all of this was consistent with severe and prolonged malnutrition and abuse, most likely lasting for maybe even years. Her last documented doctor's visit was back in 2020 when she was 9 years old. Children around her same age should be seen at least once a year, especially during ongoing medical issues. The father admitted to the hospital staff that he was going to switch her to his own doctor, but he never did, even though other household members saw doctors regularly. After the victim was stabilized and able to eat, she started to eat age-appropriate food with no problems. She was excited to eat. She never refused any meals, and her speech and her swallow evaluations showed no physical problem with eating. She started to gain weight, about 19 pounds, during her stay in the hospital. The doctors concluded that her body can gain weight normally when she's actually fed, and there is no underlying disease preventing any gain of weight. The doctors classified this as nutritional neglect resulting in severe malnutrition and harmful consequences. Beyond the physical neglect, the complaint also accuses the suspect, Walter Goodman, of emotional and psychological neglect and abuse. The child specialist reported that the victim herself described being locked in her bedroom from the outside for long stretches of time. She was monitored by a camera inside the room, which is how she communicated with the family. She had no free access to the rest of the house, even the bathroom. She had to be escorted to the bathroom and sometimes urinated on herself at night because nobody could get her out because the door was locked, only being allowed to perform hygiene tasks when she was given permission. The investigators executed a search warrant and found a bolt lock and long screws that matched screw holes on the victim's bedroom door, which they say is consistent with being locked out from the outside. Despite everything, the victim tells interviewers that she loves her family. The child specialist noted that this is common amongst children who are abused. They may still love the people who are harming them, but she clearly expresses that she does not want to be locked in her room and watched constantly in the camera. Investigators also pulled text messages from the suspect's phone, where he referred to the victim as a dummy and stupid. There are also messages about whether the victim should be allowed to urinate or defecate on herself when taken to the bathroom, implying strict control over basic bodily functions. Also in the text messages, the victim is referred to as a piece of shit who doesn't care about anyone but herself, and they wish that the girl would just go away, and they discuss using a belt as punishment when she doesn't follow rules involving the food. A witness identified as a long-term friend of the suspect told the investigators that the suspect, Walter Goodman, would sometimes bring the victim over while he was working on four-wheelers, and the friend thought that the child looked much younger than 14 because she was super skinny. One time, he heard the suspect say that if she misbehaves, I'm not going to feed her today. The suspect, Walter, allegedly told him that I keep her locked up in the bedroom with a camera on her, and that's where she stays. When the friend objected that this was child abuse, Walter brushed it off, saying that the girl drives him nuts. The friend says that Walter even said things along the lines that he wished he could leave her in the woods and he wishes he could kill her. Statements that the friend interpreted as cruel and alarming, even if they were said in anger. This outside witness has no medical angle or CPS role. He's just a regular person, the complaint says, tried to push back, but he was ignored. As of now, the criminal case is still active and moving through the court system. The suspect was arrested shortly after the incident. Prosecutors are currently building their case using 9/11 recordings, body cam and first responder observations, hospital reports, digital evidence, and interviews from witnesses. And also, this is off topic, but look at that dirty ass shirt. Look at that dingy, dirty, musty, dusty shirt. Man, you could just tell this dude is a piece of garbage. Just dirty shirt, stains all over his shirt. Probably haven't washed his shirt since last year. Next story. A couple has been sentenced to hundreds of years in prison for forcing their adopted black children to work as slaves. 63-year-old Jeannie Whitefeather and 64-year-old Donald Lance have been sentenced to 215 years and 160 years in prison after a jury found them guilty of forcing 5 adopted black children into modern-day slavery. According to the prosecutors, the couple specifically targeted the children because of their race, adopting them from a shelter that served homeless and vulnerable children, and then exploiting them once they had full custody. The situation came to the attention of the authorities after a neighbor saw Donald Lance lock 2 children in the shed, a black girl and her teenage brother. The deputies forced their way into the shed and found 2 children, 14 and 16. There was no running water. There was no bathroom. There was no ability to exit the shed. There were bare concrete floors where they slept, and they showed significant signs of neglect. Another young girl was found locked alone inside the house. When the suspect, Donald Lance, returned, he had an 11-year-old boy with him and then led investigators to a 6-year-old girl staying with friends of the couple. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God, just black children staying with random white people. According to the indictment, neighbors had long reported seeing the children forced to perform farm labor and sometimes not being allowed inside the house at all. The deputies and prosecutors say these children were being used as forced laborers and deprived of basic care and intentionally isolated in a shed. Investigators found that the abuse did not begin only in West Virginia. The court filing said that the couple first kept the children in similar conditions on a ranch in Washington state. When authorities there began looking into the allegations of abuse, the couple packed up the children and moved across the country, where the abuse continued. The charges included human trafficking, forced labor, child neglect, and human rights violations tied specifically to the racial targeting of the children, and also additional counts related to confinement and deprivation of basic needs. During sentencing, the victims delivered emotional impact statements. One child called the couple Monsters. Another child said, I'll be strong and beautiful, and you will always be exactly what you are. Horrible. The youngest child said that they had been taught to disrespect their siblings and had witnessed much of the mistreatment firsthand. Since being placed in safe foster care, the child said that now at my new house, I see everything was not right. Right? So, wow. So they were teaching the youngest child to hate your other siblings, right? Mock your other siblings, disrespect your other siblings, right? Self-hatred, right? Right. The white father. Oh, this the fruit of the white father. When you got the white father in the house, huh? The white father. This is what they're going to teach the black children, huh? Let's continue. The 5 children, once isolated, abused, and deprived of basic needs, are now in safe care, receiving education, therapy, and the chance to rebuild their lives. Attorneys say that civil litigation is underway to secure financial compensation for the victims. Absolutely insane, man. Absolutely insane. Anyway, next story. A man has been arrested after over 1,500 illegal images and videos involving minors has been found during an investigation. Let's get into it, man. Welcome to the culture, man. You already know what it is. 29% of the population and over 77% when it comes to crimes categorized as the exploitation of children. Let's continue. The authorities have arrested suspect 51-year-old Daryl Vanderwalker after a nearly 2-year investigation which uncovered more than 1,500 illegal images and videos involving minors on a storage account. According to the police, the case began back in January 2024 when investigators received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The tip indicated that a storage account located in the city was sharing and storing illegal images and videos involving minors. Detectives opened an investigation, and over time they received multiple additional cyber tips of the same suspect, each tied to the same account. These tips alone contained more than 150 images, all prompting further scrutiny. On November 6th, the police arrested Vanderwalker on an active warrant issued out of Arifo District Court. He is now charged with 10 counts of illegal acts against children. Following his arrest, detectives executed a search warrant at the residence where they seized multiple electronic devices. A forensic examination of the devices revealed over 1,500 illegal images and videos connected to the case. The investigation remains active and ongoing, and police are asking anyone with additional information to contact Metro Denver Crime Stoppers. The Aurora Police noted that the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit worked closely with Homeland Security and Boulder County District Attorney's Office and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation to bring down the suspect. Now, goddamn, man, you guys are some top flight criminals. When you have all these different law enforcement agencies, they got to collaborate. They got to collaborate just to bring one guy down, man. Anyway, it's your boy Neferkari Dessalines back in the Billy. Yes, indeed. Absolute crazy stories today. Rest in peace, Stasy Charles, man. Just absolutely just ridiculous. It's your boy Neferkari Dessalines. Second single off the next project, The Spy in Bamako. Pin comment at the top. Link in the description. Support the Patreon, NTD 1814. And I'm gone. Peace. Feel like a see me, I feel like I'm Saudi or ran up on Yan in the middle of Bamako. Enemy line, they claiming he innocent. Don't do no talking, I gotta move militant. Don't do no talking, I hit him with facts. 1804, bringing it back. 1804 like I'm Mother Cap Henry. King with the vision, the crown never empty. Top of the mountain, my soldiers defend me. Ducking and dodging the foreign intelligence. Hitting my dance on the DGSE. Dodging they traps, still on my feet. Feeling impeccable, feel like I'm shining. Go to my neck and I'm flooded with diamonds. Go to my neck and I feel like a mess. Feel like a lion, I'm in the savannah. Feel like the king when I'm up in the jungle. Never defeated, I never been humble. Come out victorious every encounter. Money machine give me help when I count it. Money machine stack it up in a beat. Heart of a king and I ride for the team. Weight of the world got it stuck on my shoulders. Bet you can feel it, my heart getting colder. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wishing we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater.